Hey there, Submarine fans. It's me, Dave, and you're listening to the SubVet Podcast.
Stand battle stations missile for WSRT. Set up all missiles.
Welcome aboard, everybody. It is me, Dave, from the SubVet, as well as from PlausiblyLive.com, the Dave Bowman Show podcast. And you will notice that Eric is not here tonight. He asked me to kind of give you some updates on what was going on, and we got talking, and he said, hey, that'd be a good idea to talk about for a show. So here I am without Eric, because as most of you know, last Tuesday, the 1st of November, Eric had a knee replacement for the second time. A second knee was being replaced. Having been through that myself, I understand the nerves going into it. I understand the discomfort, I guess. It's a lot of things I could say about it, but you know, everybody's different. Everybody handles things different. But Eric, with his sense of humor and sense of adventure, I guess, posted some photographs as he was going into pre-op. He did post a video coming out of the operation, which I would not have done. I did a few pre-op videos or pictures just because, you know, it's the 21st century and it's, you know, social media. It's what you do. But at the same time, I wasn't really with it to do it after. In fact, when I came out of mine, they had missed the nerve block in my leg. And so the pain was it was, you know, I go to places, I go to doctors now and they say, well, how's your pain level? And I say, it's a 4. Why are you here then? Because I've had a 10. And it was when I came out of that knee replacement surgery. Told my wife later I would have confessed to the Kennedy assassination, anything they wanted to do. Once I got the morphine on board, I was fine. But prior to that, it was the most pain I've ever experienced in my life, and it was not good. But Eric did a video coming out of there, so you knew he was in good spirits at least. He made it through the first day, and then into the second day, as he was getting ready to leave, he blessed us with his. For those of you submariners, he got us, son of a bee, got us all on his way out the door to go home, which was kind of funny, I thought, but it's typical of not just a submariner, but Eric in general. On his arrival home, Eric was in a good deal of pain, and there were some problems in the follow-up. Again, I went through some of that myself, not quite the same things, but he did end up with what they thought at first was a blood clot. It turned out probably to be an infection. It's a little unclear at this point. I've got the texts from him. Don't really understand all of it, but, you know, sometimes, and I say this with love, Eric can be a little scattered when it comes to his texts, and so it's hard to follow sometimes. But he did tell me that there is an infection, and they are going to keep him at least one more night, and it could be longer than that, but definitely at least one more night. He is you know, being moved into a unit that can handle the infection and the difficulties there. So he said goodbye to his 2 nurses, I guess, there, and made his way to the other unit, which is where he is right now. And you could send him text messages on Facebook, and I'm sure he would be glad to hear them and hear from you as he goes through this difficulty in recovery. You could tell he was panicked because, you know, some of the posts that he was making on Facebook were terrifying. I mean, it was, oh my God, is he dying? Kind of thing. And I suppose in the real world he could have been, but at the same time, he wasn't. So or he hasn't yet anyway. So I guess that's good, right? For Missile Tech. So there you go. So Eric, not with us this evening. We hope that he will be back soon. We did kind of take a hiatus in the run-up to his surgery because I felt like he wasn't as focused as we would like to have been. So we kind of put things on a back burner for a little while, and then expecting him to be in recovery for a bit. And as soon as he is back to normal, we will be back with regular episodes of the SubVet podcast, which we do enjoy doing. He and I were talking this afternoon about, some of the things that are going on. And I mentioned to him that I had a major dental problem that I'm going to have to deal with this week. So he is like, well, what happened? Not really a huge deal, but I have 2, 3, 4 broken teeth, 2 of which are actually missing. I don't have bad dental hygiene. What I have is just a bad experience when I was in the Navy going to the dentist. It was really bad. And so I mentioned to Eric, I said, the problem with me going to the dentist on Monday is my dental PTSD will kick in, and I will be very difficult to work with going forward from that. It's kind of embarrassing. I don't like to talk about it because it's something that I know I shouldn't be having, but I also know that it's perfectly real. It started when I was in basic training in the dentist office there, and I'm firmly convinced that Jeff Bacon from the Broadside cartoon absolutely nailed Navy dentists. Some years ago, he drew this cartoon where the recruiter guy is talking to the grumpy dude, and he says, "A tendency for cruelty. Sadly, that makes you ineligible for the nuclear power program. Have you considered Navy dentistry?" And I'm one to tell you that over my time in the Navy, I had some bad experiences with Navy dentists. Started in boot camp with one who just literally scared the living hell out of me. I mean, he just did. And in my head, I know he was joking. In my head, I can tell myself he was joking, but it was painful. And that affected me. Later, I would find myself in a dentist chair because in the Navy, they make you go. And they don't take, I'm scared for an answer. So they made me go, and I was in the chair, and the dentist was doing some work. They were doing a cleaning. And he did a thing with the floss on my teeth, and it didn't bother me. And then the tech did it, and I was ready to kill him. You're hurting me. And I said to him, you do it the way he did it. And he starts laughing. He says, yeah, he did it where you're Novocained. I'm doing it where you're not. So suffer. And again, I knew he was being funny. I probably even laughed. But at the same time, it's one of those things that just kind of builds up. And it got to the point, I'm not making this up. I can tell this story now because it's so far after the fact. When I transferred from TTF, Trident Training Facility in Bangor, to the USS Michigan, I checked out one day and then checked into the boat the next day. So you go, in those days, I don't know if it's still this way now or not there at Bangor, but in those days, the medical clinic was right there by the Group 9 building. And you went in, and medical was on one side and dental was on the other. So checked out, got my medical record. Went to the other side, got my dental record. Because I'm going to come back the next day and hand them right back to him. So the next day I went back. The medical guy takes my record. The corpsman takes my record. Get over to the dental side, and the guy says, oh, you're already here. I'll just move it over. I had it in my hand. Well, so I had my dental record for the next 4.5 years until I transferred back to Dam Neck. And they went, wait a minute. How come you haven't seen a dentist in 4.5 years? And why are your wisdom teeth all 90 degrees impacted and nobody's done anything about this? And blah, blah, blah. This guy tried to tell me, he said, what if this had been at sea? If your wisdom teeth had been this impacted while you were at sea, they would have had to do a personnel transfer and get you out of there. I'm like, are you crazy? They would have given me Motrin and said, tough. Because, number one, I wouldn't have said anything. But number two, if I had, a real problem, that's what was going to happen. So bottom line is I didn't go to the dentist for a while. And then I was getting close to getting out. And they said, well, there's not enough time to do everything. I did need a root canal at one point. I went in to get the root canal. And the guy in front of me, I swear to God, this cartoon has to be from my experience, because the guy in front of me was just, it was bad. And when I basically said the same thing. Don't let the screaming rattle you, the woman says. That poor guy is getting a root canal. What are you here for? I said, a root canal. I'm serious. Bacon must have been there when this happened. The good side of it was that they ran out of time with him. He took so long that my appointment got canceled that day, and I never had time to reschedule it before the time I got out. And so, of course, it was at least 10 years later before I finally went to a dentist to get the root canal. And when I went to that dentist as a civilian, I picked that dentist very specifically because he and I both played hockey at the same rink and in the same league. And I made it very clear to him. I put my finger in his face and I said, let me explain this to you. If you hurt me, I will hurt you. He said, fair enough, and did the root canal. And for once, it didn't hurt. But that was the last time it didn't hurt. Then I started, when I started going back, other things did hurt. And as they say in the dental corps, new transparency campaign getting off to a slow start, the dentist looks right at you and says, this is going to hurt like crazy, and I don't really care. Which is kind of my attitude towards what I believe the dentists all think anyway. So I haven't been since we moved back to Bangor. I had a dentist in Modesto, and he was used to dealing with me. He would, do things to calm me down, but I haven't been since I've been here. And now I need to go. And so my PTSD, my dental PTSD, which is not like real PTSD, it's kicking in. I'm a nervous wreck. I have been for a couple of days since my wife explained to me we're going to the dentist. I've just been like, really on edge because it's going to hurt. And then who knows if I'll be able to talk for a few days? Who knows? I don't know, because this isn't a couple of fillings where they're going to go in and drill you a little bit and fill it and be on your way. This is going to be some major implant type work, and I'm a little nervous about it. So Eric's nervous about this infection. I'm nervous about my mouth. We're all nervous about whether or not Putin's going to drop nukes on Ukraine or not. And at the end of the day, literally nothing we can do about it. So there you go. So I thought I'd be here tonight, give you kind of an update on what's going on with Eric, a little bit of what's going on with me, not that you care, and then let you know that at some point in the next week or so, we'll hopefully be back regular with the SubVet podcast. We've hooked up with a couple of authors. Hopefully we can talk to them about their books and how that's going with submarining and get you up to date on all the submarine news. It's a lot of boomers showing up in places where they didn't normally show up. And of course, the world's on edge, and hopefully we'll get into some of that. Meanwhile, I thought we would close with this. I know that Eric is not Jewish. I am. But since I don't have access to what his faith would do for stuff like this, I know that he is deeply concerned and not feeling well, in a lot of pain. In Judaism, we would offer the Mishaberach prayer. It simply goes like this. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill, specifically tonight, Eric. May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health, to be restored, and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen. We'll see you next time, right here on the SubVet.